Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, April 17th, 2023. And our top story today, cryptocurrency scams are targeting older adults. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Xavier Diaz is with the Ohio Narcotics Intelligence Center. Xavier, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, let's talk about this. This is a kind of a warning, I guess. There is a growing trend of cryptocurrency scams among adults, and in particular in the great state of Ohio. What can you tell us about this, and how pervasive is this issue?
Yeah, so it's pretty pervasive. I would say it's an up and coming trend. And I kind of hesitate up and coming trend. It's just still the same tactics and methods and methodology that scammers have been using. It's just a different form of payment. So what we were trying to do is just let the public know that, hey, this is happening and they're asking for crypto.
Yeah, and in terms of, a lot of the viewers, I think they've heard of like Bitcoin and Ripple and Ether. I mean, these are the popular cryptocurrencies, but many adults, including myself, don't invest in cryptocurrency. As you said, this is another way for these hackers and I'm going to call them miscreants to kind of shield themselves and to kind of go after people's money.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why they're using the cryptocurrency is because these scammers or these criminals, however you want to reference them, believe that they can hide behind the cryptocurrency.
And how do they do it? I mean, is it a phone call? Is it an email? Is it a knocking on the door? How does this kind of unfold?
Yeah, it can be a wide variety of things. What we've been seeing here is email, phone calls, text messages, people representing themselves as government employees. Stuff like that, where people get tripped up and think it's legitimate.
And I want to get to prevention in our second segment, but let's continue to kind of unpack this. I've read about Social Security fraud, people either trying to get Social Security numbers or trying to get the money that retirees have in terms of Social Security, Medicare fraud. There's a lot of this going around, and especially during, I guess, tough times, people need to be on the offensive and be aware.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get a text message or an email or a phone call and it's fishy, it's probably because it is fishy. And people need to realize that, again, I kind of go back to my previous statement where, it's still the same scam, just different methodologies for payment. So just be aware of the scams that are out there. And understand that no bank or no representative from the IRS or a DEA agent or Customs and Border Patrol, no one's going to contact you directly asking you for payment directly via cryptocurrency. And
I know the Federal Trade Commission provided some avoidance techniques, and we'll talk about some of that in the second segment. But are you, in terms of Ohioans, are you seeing more phone calls to maybe your office or just in general to the Department of Aging saying, hey, help, I've gotten a bad phone call and I need help, or I pushed the wrong button and now someone's taking my money?
There definitely has been an uptick in regards to reporting with bulletins like ours have gone out, but also reporting agencies like the FBI just recently released the IC3 report. Secret Service has released their own reports in regards to scams, FTC as well. So I think with the knowledge that's currently being passed around, whether it be in the state, local, federal environment, it's reaching out to the general public. So people are starting to realize, yeah, I've been a victim. Here's the resources that we can use to help report this.
And do we know who these bad actors are? Are they here, domiciled here in the States, or are these people that are, in maybe some other countries around the globe?
They're all over the place. They could be sitting somewhere here in the United States or somewhere overseas.
Well, Xavier, I mean, one of the benefits, and a lot of people think it's a benefit, and is the interconnectivity that exists in our world. I mean, we have the ability to reach across the pond, email our friends across in Europe, Australia. I mean, that is the benefit, but it is also fraught with some real challenges.
Absolutely. So cryptocurrency in itself is inherently web-based, right? It's a virtual currency. So somebody sitting at home can send money to a friend or a relative across the sea in Europe or Japan or anywhere across the world for a super low cost. But that's also why it attracts these scams and scammers to conduct these types of criminal activities to solicit funds illegally.
And it's really hard. I've had relatives who have fallen for some of these scams. It's really hard to get your money back, if at all. I mean, these are massive operations, but it's really hard to go into, for the U.S., they may not be able to go into another country to get these people and to get your money back. So you've got to be ever vigilant.
Correct. So, like I mentioned before, these criminals can be here in the U.S. They can be all across the world. And now it is difficult for law enforcement to track and trace the cryptocurrency, but it's not impossible. There are federal agencies and even some local and state agencies that are really putting in a lot of good work to be able to trace and track these criminals and try to get them either extradited or just locate them even here in the United States.
Yeah. Well, Xavier, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about prevention. Avoid those scams. If you're a young person or an older person, you're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I was really starting to show my stress on my kids because the IRS had sent me a letter demanding a huge payment from me. I couldn't afford it. So then the IRS was threatening to garnish my wages. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
It truly seemed hopeless, but then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
The people at the tax relief line, they told me about something called innocent spouse relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't know how that works and I don't care. All I care about is that I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
Even if it seems hopeless, you should call the number on your screen right now. There is absolutely no cost for the call or the consultation. You are under no obligation. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.
Well, Xavier, thank you so much for staying with us this morning. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
All right, so we talked about, this is a big pervasive problem, and this is not just in Ohio, it's everywhere in the U.S., and by the way, it's everywhere. So let's talk a little bit about prevention, and you already talked, Xavier, about how federal authorities, local authorities, everyone's trying to stop these things, but there are probably some steps that we can take as individuals to prevent being duped by one of these dupers.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I always recommend is if you're receiving a text message from a bank, it's always good to follow up with whoever that service provider is, whether it be a local bank or a national bank, and just give them a call and see, hey, I received this message or an email. It could be an email as well, saying, is this legitimate? Most big banks have a fraud department that you can call. It's better to be safe than sorry. Than clicking on a link that could either download some software or lock out your computer, and you're going to have to pay in cryptocurrency to get it unlocked, or any of those other types of methodologies that can be associated with these types of scams.
And they're very sophisticated, so they can actually do like a subnet mask on the email address, right? They can make it look like it's JP Morgan Chase. They can make it look like it's Bank of America or Wells Fargo, but you really got to be vigilant.
Absolutely. It's always better just to double check, and that's why the fraud department exists in most of these places. Just give them a quick call and say, hey, I received this message. Is this legitimate? Are my accounts okay? Because they have to verify your identity before they can do anything. So that's just an extra level of security on their end, and also a safety measure that anybody can take.
And in terms, you mentioned the not Internal Revenue Service. So it's tax day almost. So, I've got that on the brain. But in terms of Social Security Administration, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, typically they're not going to do they're not going to do an outbound call, or they're not going to email you and ask for information. So you need to be aware of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't speak directly to those specific government agencies, but what I can say is, speaking from experience, is that most of that comes via mail, right? So none of those agencies typically kind of send out those emails unless they're working a specific case with you directly, and you already have contact with an agent or representative from that particular agency, but most of that stuff comes by mail. So again, if you're receiving a text message saying that they're a representative of one of these agencies, they're likely not. So you have to be wary of that.
Yeah, and Xavier, just to kind of follow up on that, 1 in 5 Americans is a caregiver. Could be a caregiver for a family member, could be a caregiver for a friend, someone in the community. That person may be a little bit older. You need to be extra vigilant when it comes to if you're a caregiver and you're taking care of someone, because they could, unbeknownst to you and to others, receive a phone call and be duped, easily duped.
Correct. Anybody who is a caregiver should also be vigilant as well in regards to receiving these types of emails, text messages, and just have that kind of sense of security around the overall finances of the individual you're taking care of or watching over. Because they could be deemed as easy victims because they may not understand exactly what's going on. So having that vigilant eye when it comes to these type of scams, because they can affect anybody. not only the victims themselves and even the caregivers.
Yeah, and I guess just kind of as a follow-up, it's really important to check your account balances on a regular basis. I know I have caught credit card fraud. Someone's stolen my credit card because they've swiped, they've stolen the information off the card through those readers. Really important, whether you're a caregiver or you're the actual person, check out your accounts from time to time to make sure that the money's there, it's what you expected, and the transactions are legitimate. A lot of times these companies will call you or email you to say, hey, was this a legitimate transaction? But it's on you really to make sure that that the transactions are in line with what you would expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a simple thing that you can do is just monitor your finances, see what's coming in and what's coming out. Now, if the bank is giving you a phone call, they have to verify who you are before they can even speak. They have to verify that you are the account holder, or in some cases, the caregiver that's authorized to speak on behalf of the person. So that's a level of security on the bank's end. But yeah, it's an easy enough step to double check your finances and see what's going out. And if there is something suspicious that you don't recognize, let them know. It's like, hey, I did not make this transaction. I don't know where this is going to. And in regards to the crypto side of it as well, if there's money moving out of the account that you don't know of and it's got converted to crypto, that's something that needs to be reported as well.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of great work being done by federal, state, and local authorities, but it always helps to be vigilant yourself. Xavier, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Absolutely. Again, happy to be here, and thank you for your time.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news on lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, all in one place. It's just one place. Check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, we'll visit our website, and of course, all of our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRNAM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
But if you're tired of the same
Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.